That we're living, cause it could be gone in an instant. The days go by with the blink of an eye, so don't take anything for granted. And I really wanna know where we go when we die, but I don't wanna keep asking.
Hey everyone, this is Joel Barsky with Irie Chat. You were just listening to Sensi Trail's Just Livin' featuring K-Bomb. During our pilot episode on YouTube, we interviewed Kyle Rising of the band in Boca Raton, Florida. If you noticed on the video, we held the interview outdoors despite it being a little windy. It took me a while to edit the background noise on the audio version for this episode, which is why it would be considered episode 3 on the podcast. So enjoy that Irie Chat as we say what's up to Kyle Rising from Sensi Trails.
You're on a national tour right now, your first national tour. From what I counted, you have 46 shows. I know right now you're 3/4 into these shows. Like, how are you feeling, man? I know you must be tired. Like, your stamina. Like, what are you guys doing to keep the energy up so far?
Man, I'm feeling great. We've been having a blast. The support along the way has been amazing. We've had a lot of great shows. We've got a lot of people who are willing to help us out, open their home to us, and we can get that rest and keep the stamina high. It's been great.
From what I've seen, you have 15 shows in Florida. You have a few in South Florida. So what I want to know is what's gravitating you towards Florida? I know you have shows in California, all over the country, but you have a lot in Florida as well. So what's so special about Florida that's bringing you here?
Well, Florida's a market that we have yet to hit. This is our first time here, and for what we understand, there's a really solid reggae scene here. We have got a lot of connections here through our booking agent, so he just reached out to a lot of these people and a lot of promoters here, and we were just able to set up a nice little run of shows here. Like I said, man, this is a market where there's a lot of reggae fans, so we wanted to make sure we get every city, being that it's our first national tour, we want to connect with as many people as possible who are into this type of music. Just make that connection and build that bond with these folks.
Okay. Yeah, and that's cool. And from what I've seen is you have, I believe, 4 in Palm Beach County alone, like Lake Worth. I saw you in Jupiter. You were awesome. You have in West Palm Beach and in Boca. So, what's bringing you to Palm Beach? What's so special about Palm Beach County specifically?
Well, this is actually my first time here, and it's beautiful, man. It reminds me of Southern California. I didn't set this tour up personally, but our booking agent did a really good job, and I'm really happy we're here and seeing it now.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful place. Look around, this place is amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm happy to be here. I really am.
What I want to ask you next is, since you're in South Florida, you're going to be here for a while. You plan to do any sightseeing? Anything specific you want to check out here?
Yeah, so I've been in Florida before. I grew up on the East Coast, and we used to come here on vacation when I was a kid. But we would hang out in Orlando area, go to Disney, Universal, things like that.
Yeah.
But the other guys in the band had never been here before, so they're really, really excited to see alligators. Yeah, that's one of the things. I know there's a place called Alligator Alley or something like that.
Right.
Yeah, we're definitely going to check that out. And I don't know too much about what's around here for sightseeing. I know there's the Everglades.
Right.
I heard really good things about that. But yeah, we're just checking things out, do a little research on the internet. Every time we go to a new place, just kind of check out what's nearby and what's to see, what's good.
I know you're an avid surfer. Florida, we have some really good surf spots. Boca Raton, I know where we're at now, is a pretty good surf spot as well. Any surf spots that you specifically like in Florida or maybe in the other parts of the country that you really like that you can recommend for any of our viewers?
Well, I don't really know many other spots in Florida. I've actually never surfed in Florida, but I'm hoping to get out there. I didn't bring any boards with me.
Okay.
It's because we have limited space in the van. But, personally, other than San Diego, my favorite spot to surf is the Outer Banks. North Carolina. Hatteras, Frisco. When it's good, it's good. So.
I want to touch on something that happened to you last week when you were on tour. From what I understand, your guitar was stolen and then it returned back to you. Can you tell us what happened with that?
Yeah, so we were playing at this place in Folly Beach called Surf Bar, and there was this one lady that was just acting really strange, like pretty much since the time that we arrived. She just took a strong interest in me and the band, and she was just being really bizarre. And at first she was really cool, and then she started to get kind of weird, like acting really rude and different things. And towards the end of the night, she was hanging out by our van, and I kind of had to tell her, like, hey, just leave us be. We're just trying to pack up our stuff. And then next thing I know, I'm like trying to put my guitar away, and I couldn't find it. And then I'm like, where's my guitar? And it occurred to me, like, okay, somebody took it. It just walked, it didn't just walk away by itself.
Yeah.
So, yeah, come to find out, we went back to the bar that we played at the next day and reviewed the camera footage, and sure enough, clear as day, there's that woman walking away with my guitar, and not only my guitar, but my drummer's cymbals, like the whole cymbal bag. She had it on her back and walking away with the guitar in her hand. And yeah, we took it to the police, and shout out to Folly Beach Police because they got our stuff back very quickly. Like within 12 hours, we had our stuff back, and they had her. I mean, yeah, it worked out. It worked out all right. We got our stuff back. Everything's good.
Yeah, I'm glad that worked out. I mean, I saw the posting for it when you guys posted on Instagram, and then I think the next day you posted with the sheriff, like the shout out. But yeah, I'm happy that you got that guitar back.
Yeah, and shout out to all the friends and family and the fans that, I mean, as soon as we posted it, man, the support was really strong. I mean, everybody came together trying to help us get our stuff back, so I really appreciate that. That means a lot.
All right, so I want to ask you about your tour. I know your last concert is in Costa Mesa, California, on October 10th. You have such a big, long national tour. I know you're performing almost every night. What are your plans after? Are you planning to rest? Are you trying to just continue writing music? Are you continue working? What's your plans after that?
So when we get back, we're planning on finalizing the album. We have everything tracked out and recorded, but we're gonna get in and do all the mixing and mastering and everything. And, we're working with Ian Young at Imperial Sound Studios, and he does a great job. And yeah, we're basically just gonna finish the album and just get that out there. And yeah, that's the next step.
Okay. So I want to mention, so last year you moved from Outer Banks to King Hill Devils, your hometown, to San Diego. How's that transition? You moved from one coast to another.
So yeah, I started the band over in Kill Devil Hills, and it was just, there's not really much there as far as music scene.
Okay.
So I was always looking for something bigger, something where I can expand and grow as an artist. And San Diego's always been on my radar ever since I was a little kid, man. I always wanted to live in San Diego. So, yeah, I basically just packed all my stuff up into my van and just drove across country. And, yeah, it was a great move, in my opinion. I mean, there's so many opportunities that have arose from being in San Diego. I mean, there's a lot of good connections there with the music and entertainment industry. And, I just went and never looked back. And here we are.
It's an awesome move. I know, since then you've become such a great success. But yeah, definitely it was a smart move for you to head to California. I know East Coast misses you, but I'm happy that you're doing so great in the West Coast.
Yeah. The West Coast is a whole different world, man. It really is. I mean, when I first got there, I was really shocked at how different it was. I mean, the people, the vibe, everything. The community, the economy, it's just so different.
Yeah.
I do love the East Coast. I always have love for the East Coast in my heart. I mean, this is where I got my start and everything. So,
yeah.
But the West Coast is a beautiful place.
Yeah, West Coast is beautiful. So I want to talk about your move to San Diego. So that's where, from what I understand, you met Jordan Stark, your drummer, and Kaya Hall, your bass guitarist. How'd you meet those guys?
So when I first got to San Diego, man, I was on the grind trying to find musicians to join this band. And I put up flyers. I was on Craigslist. I did anything I could just to find bandmates. And there's this website called Band Mix.
Okay.
Which we always joke around and say it's like Tinder for bandmates. So I got on there and I found both of them and just sent them a message, letting them know what I was trying to do, and it just worked out. We all met up and it just clicked. And so we all have a common goal and we know what we want and we're just going from there. And it just worked out. Here we are on a national tour. And, it's just the greatest thing ever. Really.
Yeah. And those guys are great. Like, I saw you all perform in Jupiter last night. I mean, Jordan is awesome on the drums. Kai is awesome on the bass. Yeah, but yeah, good choices with those guys. They're awesome.
Our chemistry on stage is really nice, man. It feels good. It feels right,
The audience can definitely feel it too, man. I want to talk about somebody else that's, I guess, involved with your tour. You have from what I understand, a permanent mascot, Nikki Trails.
Yeah.
Tell the viewers who's Nikki Trails.
Yeah, Nikki's my dog. She's a 1-year-old German Shepherd. I got her when she was 4 months old, and she's a sweetheart, man. She's so nice, and she loves being on the road. Like, her favorite place to be is in the van on the road. She just looks out the window. She's just super tranquil and relaxed while we're on the road. And she likes going to different places and meeting other dogs, meeting new people, playing. She's obsessed with tennis balls. She loves it, man. She's a great companion for on the road. She makes us feel at home.
No, I think it's awesome that you have Nikki Trails on tour with you. I know, like, Stick Figure, they had their dog on tour. I saw them on Reggae Rise Up. They had that dog right up there. Everyone loves that dog.
Yeah. Funny story about that. So Scott Woodruff from Stick Figure invited us out to come to the studio a few months back, and of course we took Nikki and everything, and Coco was there. And Coco did not like Nikki. She did not like Nikki. She was like, "Hey, this is my studio. I don't know what you're doing here, but I don't like it." It was funny, man.
So I want to talk about your the EP Prohibition that came out in 2017. It has 5 great tracks. What's the meaning behind that title of the EP?
So Prohibition, at the time when we recorded that, I was living in North Carolina, and obviously, marijuana is illegal there. And so I was kind of just trying to shed light on, like, the prohibition of marijuana.
Okay.
That's pretty much where that came from. There's a lot of the tracks that relate to that subject, and so I just felt like it was a good title for the record. But yeah, and then I moved to California, and people are smoking out in the open.
Yeah.
It's totally free there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where that came from.
I want to talk about an awesome song that you have, Just Living, featuring K-Bone. I understand you wrote it when you were experiencing a bad time in your life. Without going into too much details about your experience, what drove you to writing such a great song like that?
Yeah, so when I wrote that song, I was still in the Outer Banks. I was going through a transitional phase in my life where I had broken up with the girl that I was with at the time. I was practically homeless. Luckily, one of my buddies kind of let me crash at his place for a while. But, I just realized that, like, no matter what I was going through, no matter what was happening in my life, I was just grateful to be here and just living, just having a good time, no matter what, just looking up and just being positive and optimistic on whatever life brought my way. So, yeah, that's kind of what brought the inspiration for that song.
Yeah, it's an amazing song. It's the first song I heard. That was my introduction to Sensi Trails. And I know that every time you perform it for the crowd, they absolutely love it. They dance to it. Yeah, it's an awesome song. So I want to say thank you for writing such a great song. Yeah. Continuing on about the song though, you worked with Kate. You mentioned K-Bong. You worked with K-Bong on it. He's great on the song. How was it working with you guys?
Dude, K-Bong is probably one of the nicest, most positive, coolest people I know, man. He's a good guy. And it's crazy because I met him, I want to say randomly, but I feel like it was meant to be. And when I first moved to San Diego, I had another buddy who had previously met him while he was walking down the street. I just saw him and happened to recognize him. And he had told him about me and how I just moved to San Diego and, kind of a little bit about my journey as a musician. And we all met up one day and we got together and played music for like 5 hours. We just jammed out. This was right before K-Bong went on his solo tour.
Okay.
And so he invited me over to his rehearsal space, and we got together and played music for a good while. And towards the end of the night, we're all kind of sitting around, you know, sharing stories and whatnot. And I was like, hey man, what do you think about featuring on one of my songs? And he said, yeah, okay, I'm down, let's do it. And I was like, all right. So I went to Ian Young's studio at Imperial Beach and recorded Just Living.
Yeah.
And I sent it over to him, and sure enough, he came up with this awesome verse and put it right on there. So yeah, K-Bong's a great guy, man.
That dude's amazing. I know I've seen him perform with, you know, Stick Figure and everything, but yeah, that guy's very talented and stuff.
Yeah. He's really good with Stick Figure. So if you ever get a chance to check him out with his solo set with his band and everything, man, really good.
Definitely.
Really good. Like, he's got a great voice.
Definitely. Okay. Shout out to K-Bong.
Yeah.
I want to talk about some other artists you've been that you met or worked with. I know you kind of randomly got your start just on a family vacation where you met, from what I understand, Ian Young and Tribal Seeds.
Oh yeah.
Share us your experience of how that happened.
So when I was 18, I went on a vacation. My parents had just split up, and my dad decided that he wanted to take my brother and I on a vacation. So we went to the Outer Banks, and while we were there, I had my guitar with me, and I was walking up and down the beach playing songs that I'd written for people that were just on the beach. You know, I just wanted to get out there and just kind of spread the music around a little bit. And so I'm walking along, and sure enough, I see a bunch of guys with dreadlocks, and I'm like, oh, I bet they like reggae. And sure enough, it happened to be Tribal Seeds. They were playing a show there in the Outer Banks that night. And we hit it off, and like they were like, hey man, come back and hang out with us later. We gotta be chilling here at the hotel all night. So I drove back there and hung out, and sure enough, this guy, Ian Young, I had no idea who he was at the time. He was telling me about himself. And yeah, I mean, I got to learn about them a little more, and then a few years later, here I am working with the guy in his studio. He's producing tracks for me, and he's going to produce this record that we're working on. I mean, it's just one of those full circle things, you know, just complete full circle story right there. So that was a really, really cool point in my life, because especially at that time, Tribal Seeds had just released their album Representing, which is one of my favorites.
Yeah.
And you know, I was a huge fan. I mean, I still am a huge fan of Tribal Seeds, but especially at that time in my life, I mean, that was what I was listening to constantly. So to run into those guys and to see them and meet them and everything, like, it was just huge for me. I mean, to see years down the road, I'm working with them and stuff, like, I mean, it's just a great thing. It feels good.
But honestly, I mean, with the route you're going, with the success that you're having, I like to think it's fate, man, that you just met these guys.
100%.
Yeah. Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, it was just fate that you go on a family vacation and boom, you meet those guys and you get your start from there. But that's awesome. Your music is a little different from other reggae genre. You have a mix of like blues. I mean, obviously reggae, a little techno in there. Do you want to explain how your music differentiates from other reggae music or musicians?
Well, you know, I mean, I grew up on rock and roll. Yeah. The first record I ever listened to was Shake Your Money Maker by the Black Crowes. Growing up, my dad had that CD in the truck all the time. I loved it. I remember begging my parents and my grandparents, hey, I want to listen to rock and roll. I want to listen to rock and roll. And so that was a huge influence on me. And then, you know, of course, later on getting into like the Beatles and the Who and like the British rock and the American rock, and you know, and then later on I found out about Sublime, Bob Marley, and, you know, some of the legendary reggae acts. And so all of that mixed together is really what Sensi Trails is about. And reggae, rock, like you said, a little bit of electronic in there. Yeah, I mean, it's just basically things that I hear that I like, I pull inspiration from. It kind of all blends together into what you hear from Sensi Trails.
So I want to ask, what made you want to become a reggae musician instead of maybe something like classical music or maybe like pop music? What was so special about like reggae music?
Well, the first thing about reggae that I like is the feeling that it gives you. You know, it's very good vibes, it's a good feeling, it's relaxed, it's nice, it's a way to escape from what we have in reality. And, you know, I didn't really choose that particular genre, it's just kind of something that happened. You know, it's something that I kind of fell in love with. And I mean, I wouldn't even really say that Sensi Trails is like 100% reggae. I would say it's more like reggae inspired, but yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. It's just like one of those things that just kind of happened. It's from what I was inspired by.
No, I totally agree with you. I mean, reggae music it is an escape from, you know, reality and more just like good vibes, just make you feel good. I mean, all it does is just talk about like good things going on with your life. Yeah, but I love it. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and also the community surrounding reggae. The fans, everyone involved, man, they're all really, really good people, down to earth, just kind and welcoming people. Like, for example, like I was saying earlier, we're traveling all across the nation, man. There's people in almost every city that are like, hey, you have a place to stay. We'll feed you. We'll take care of you. I mean, that to me that means so much. And that really helps out a lot, like, you know, because it's just one of those things. Like I said, it's a community, and I love it. Everything surrounding the reggae culture is just amazing.
Yeah. What would you say is, from the top of your head, what's the top 5 musicians that you say that influence your music?
So, top 5 would be Scott Avett from the Avett Brothers, Scott Woodruff from Stick Figure, Tim Beavers from People's Blues of Richmond. Let's see. I would say Dan Keller from Giant Panda Gorilla Dub Squad. He's actually no longer with them, but Dan definitely inspired me. That Giant Panda is one of the first reggae bands I ever heard. Bradley Knoll. What do we have? 4?
I got 5.
That's 5 right
Yeah,
there?
unless you want to mention more.
I mean, man, there's so many. Like, I pull inspiration. I would see, like, Nathan Feinstein from Iatera.
Oh, he's awesome.
I really look up to that guy, man. He's a good buddy of mine.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, K-Bong, obviously, too. There's just so many. Like, I pull inspiration from so many different people. It's hard to name, you know, just 5. But, yeah, I mean, before I got, like, really into reggae, I was living in West Virginia for a while, so I really took a liking to bluegrass and folk music.
Okay.
And, like, the Appalachian style. So that's kind of where, like, the Avett Brothers come into play, because that's one of my favorite folk bands. But, yeah, I mean, it's hard to say just without one.
I love it, and the fact that you add blues into your music, which is something I'm not used to hearing in reggae music, is awesome. If you weren't a full-time musician, what would you be doing?
Wow. I don't know. Oh, man. Well, before I really wanted to be a musician, I was in college. I did 1 year in university, and I was trying to become a dentist.
Okay.
And I hated it. I didn't like going to class. I didn't like the people I was surrounded by. It just wasn't for me. I could just feel it. I mean, I would skip class, lock myself in my dorm room, and play my guitar and write songs. I mean, even a lot of the songs that I played still to this day were written while I was in college.
Okay.
But yeah, I really don't. I mean, I guess I would be a dentist, which, you know, to some people that might even sound like a more successful life. I mean, personally, I wouldn't have been fulfilled, you know?
Right. You wouldn't be happy doing it.
Exactly. Yeah. I would have been opening mouths and been sad.
Want to mention, you mentioned about writing music. Do you have like a muse, or what inspires you to like suddenly just start writing music?
Most of the music I write is based off of the things that I experience in life. So things happen, and I find inspiration through that. There's something that kind of like sparks a little bit of creativity through things that I experience, and that's just where the songs come from.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I mean, there's not really like one particular thing that I could say like, oh yeah, this is the method that I follow. But yeah, it's just through life experience. I try to write songs that people can relate to. kind of find, something that they can pull from it. They're like, oh, I've been in that situation. I know what that feels like. So that's where my inspiration comes from for writing songs.
Yeah, and I think one of the reasons why your song "Just Living" is so successful is just a lot of people can relate to it. Yeah, but yeah, that's awesome. I want to talk about your band name. So I know previously your band name was Cal Rising and the Rising Ride, if that's correct. What made you change it to Sensi Trails?
So we were playing under Carl Rising and the Rising Tide because it was me and then a bunch of different musicians. Like, this was when I was on the Outer Banks. I never knew who would show up to a gig. I was working with a bunch of different people at the time, and it was when I was first starting out. And then one day we were playing a gig at the Outer Banks Brewing Station, and the sound engineer was saying, "Hey man, you can't keep coming in here smelling like that. You're stinking up the restaurant." And I was like, "Come on man, we're sitting behind our Sensi Trails." And it just stuck. I was just like, that's cool. Let's go with that. So I locked in a solid group at the time and just ran with it. I was just like, okay, let's call it Sensi Trails. Because I didn't want it to be all about me.
Right.
I didn't want it to just be Kyle Rising. I wanted it to be a group thing, make everybody feel like they were, equally involved. So that's kind of why I decided to go with that route. But yeah, here we are. Sensi Trails.
I love the name. Yeah, it's an awesome name.
Thank you.
I mean, you mentioned you write your own music. Have you written anything while you're on tour?
I haven't actually written any full songs on tour, but I have had a few different sparks of creativity where I've got little melodies in my head and different things. Usually I'll hear something in my head and I'll go on my phone and record it in voice memos and just kind of reflect on it later and build a song like that. That's kind of another thing that I do. But yeah, I've had a few moments where I'm like, okay, that would be a cool song, just like things that I've experienced while on the road, for sure.
Oh, that's awesome. You're touring a lot. I know you're traveling a lot. What music does Sensi Trails listen to while they're on tour, whether they're traveling via airplane or just traveling on the road? What kind of music is just keeping you chilled?
We listen to a lot of reggae, man. We've been listening, and especially because a lot of the guys in the scene just put out an album. We've been listening to the new Stick Figure album, the new Irie Chat album, the new Movement album, the new Dirty Heads album. We listen to Mac Miller a lot.
Okay.
Rest in peace, Mac Miller. Yeah, I mean, that's mainly it. I like the Grateful Dead.
Yeah.
Classics. But yeah, mainly just the new reggae albums that have been coming out this year, recently.
Yeah, there's been such an influx during the summer of such great reggae albums. Seriously, the Movement, that was a great album. Irie Chat, they came out. Yeah, Stick Figure, all great albums that just...
All of them, they're so good.
Yeah, just came out of nowhere, those are awesome, inspiring albums. I know you're busy on tour. I mean, you're going to all these great locations that you're performing at. Any particular food items that you're like, this is my go-to food item, like I need tacos or spaghetti, something like that? Any particular food items like you're always craving for while you're on tour?
Burritos. Yeah, 100% burritos.
Okay. A particular place that you're like, oh, this is the burrito place I need to go to?
Well, when I'm in Ocean Beach, Nico's or Roberto's. I mean, dude, San Diego has so many good Mexican places. But I mean, as far as on tour, I'm always experiencing new places.
Okay.
So I don't really have a favorite place.
So I want to ask you. I mean, you're obviously musically talented. I know you've been performing or playing music since at a very early age. Is there a certain song? What's the earliest song that you can remember first hearing that just inspired you to get into music?
Well, when I was really young, probably 3 or 4 years old, my grandparents had this soundtrack that was from Indian tribes, Native American tribes, and I always just really, really liked it. I don't know, something about it. And so I would ask them always, every time I go to their house, hey, can I listen to the Indian music?
Yeah.
And so that was something that, I mean, at the time I didn't realize it, but I think that's what like really inspired me to get into music. I've always just had this obsession with music and sound and things that give you a certain kind of feeling, you know, when you listen to it.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, I want to say that's kind of where it all stemmed from. But yeah, I mean, it was just world music. It wasn't like, there was no lyrics, there was nothing. It was just, you know, tribal music. So, I mean, I think that's kind of where it all stemmed from, in a way. And that kind of leads to the whole reggae thing, because reggae is considered world music too. So, yeah, I mean, I want to say that's where it came from.
Okay. Any certain things that Sensi Trails doesn't sing about, or any certain topics that Sensi Trails wouldn't sing about?
No. I mean, everything that I sing about is a reflection of my beliefs and who I am as a person. So,
Okay.
yeah, I mean, I don't try and limit myself or anything. You know, I try to be open and honest and just connect people through the sound.
And which you certainly do. Last question is, anything you want to say to your current fans or future fans?
I just want to say thank you. I mean, you know, this journey I wouldn't be able to do alone. I want to say a special shout out to Customized Grinder. A special shout out to Smoke Proper, our sponsor for this tour. And anybody that believes in us and is willing to spread the word, spread the message, spread the vibe. Anybody who's a supporter, anybody who believes in what we're doing, I thank you from the bottom of my heart. Because without you, we wouldn't be able to do this.
Awesome. Well, Kyle, thank you so much for doing this interview with us. I mean, you guys are awesome. Sensi Trails is amazing. The whole band. Love your music. Love going to your shows. I'll try to, as long as you're in Palm Beach County, I'm going to try to catch every show I can. But again, from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much for joining us today. And best of luck on the tour, man.
On your skin and we be up dancing all night. Bonfires and moonlight. Our vibes are always high, and now we never fuss or fight. You said that twinkle in your eye has got me hypnotized.
Our Irie Chat with Kyle Rising of Sensi Trails. Listen to all their stuff and keep an eye out for any upcoming shows from them. They will be releasing their first full-length album, Celebration, very soon, so make sure you purchase that. If you want to continue listening and watching new content from us, please subscribe, like, and follow all of our social media sites. To end this episode, I thought I'd play my favorite song from the band, She Love. Thank you for listening to our Irie Chat, and we'll see you soon.
She love. She can be loving in the morning time.